So have you noticed that our generation consumes a lot of Western foods? And by Western foods, I mean things like your pizzas, your burgers, your fast foods, your McDonald's, your KFCs, all these foods that are commonly associated with diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and cancers. In contrast, our forefathers and our grandparents, they ate more of our traditional African foods, which are more high in things like your fiber, your fruits and your vegetables and whole grains, which are very, very healthy for one's body. So what we're finding is that we're transitioning, we're moving away from our traditionally healthy foods to a more Western foods, and that is known as nutrition transition. So it's very important that we reverse and go back to our roots and embrace our traditionally plant-based foods. A lot of the Ghanaian foods are traditionally plant-based. Think about your plantain and beans, for instance, or awache, or even jollof rice, which you can have with vegetables. With South Africa, we can have pap and chakalaka, that is plant-based, and even your Kenyan chapati, that's another example of an African dish which is plant-based. So it's really important that we turn things around and embrace more of our traditional African foods. It helps us to reduce our chances of getting things like diabetes. It reduces your risk of getting certain heart diseases. It reduces your chances of getting cancer. It improves your gut health. There's so much benefit to embracing our traditional African foods. Okay, so some of the reasons that we as Africans nowadays are eating more Western foods is, number one, we're under the impression that Western foods such as burgers and pizzas all these Western types of foods are cheaper. It's also more convenient, so it's easy for us to get it. We don't have to spend a lot of time in the kitchen to cook. Therefore, because it's convenient, we like to buy them more. They are also nicely packaged, and I guess that makes it more appealing to us. However, our traditionally African-based foods, which are more plant-based, actually tends to be more cheaper in the long run, because if you think about it, it's mostly your vegetables, your fruits and your whole grains, and even though you might spend a little bit of some time in the kitchen to cook it, it's much more nutritious and it tastes way better. Think about it. If you're to buy some pizza and you're to have jollof rice, which one makes you feel fuller for longer? Is it the pizza or is it the jollof rice? It's definitely the jollof rice. So rather, let's make time and let's set aside time to cook more of these African-based foods, because it's going to help us with our health and it's also going to help us with our pockets in the long run. Okay, so we're going to end off today's session with some tips on how we can go back to eating more of our traditionally African foods. So tip number one is to plan your meals. It's nice to set aside one day where you can just plan out exactly what it is that you want to be eating throughout the week. You can then prepare it in bulk, store it in the fridge, so that after long days of work, you can come back knowing that there's food in the fridge for you to warm up and to have to eat. Then secondly, a lot of us also have forgotten how to prepare these foods, or we don't know how to prepare these foods. But we all have that auntie who's really good at cooking, or our own mothers. So let's not forget to just give them a phone call and ask them to guide us as to how to prepare these really healthy foods. And lastly, you can also just go on YouTube. We can learn from each other as to how to prepare these foods. I know with this channel that I'll be also going through how to prepare some of these really healthy and delicious traditionally African foods. So subscribe to my channel, stay tuned to my channel, and you'll also be learning some healthy traditionally African foods.